You are listening to Ideas and Leaders podcast. I'm Elena Paweta, Executive Communication Coach and TEDx organizer. With each episode, I'll share with you communication tips and ideas from top business leaders to help you excel in your career. Welcome everyone to the next episode of Ideas and Leaders podcast. Today I have a very special guest, Elaine Powell, and she is helping people with impactful presentations, with their stories. She's also a TEDx coach, so we have a lot in common, and I love to have her today on our podcast, Ideas and Leaders. Hi, Elaine.
Hello, Elena. I'm so excited to be here and to share with your audience. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm sure that we have a lot to talk about, as we have a lot of common topics. So, as I know, you are a storytelling coach and you're helping people with their presentations, with their powerful presentations. So how did you get to doing this? What is your story?
Wow. Yeah. It's incredible when we start thinking about, oh, how did I get to do what I'm doing? And so I'll share what I feel is relevant to this audience. So I came from a corporate background in law and I enjoyed it, but I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. So I did a really powerful 3-day personal development course. And I sat back and I thought, if I have to work for a third of my life, what am I really going to be doing? And it just took me a little while, but at that time, I just wanted to work with young people to help them to navigate through life at an earlier age. And it's measurably what I wanted for myself. You know, I really wish I'd seen some things and learned some really powerful key principles to life when I was much younger. So I worked with young offenders for 7 years, and it was the most incredible experience. And it really got me into the niche of thinking more about mindset, because you know our mindset creates everything, as we know, with regards to public speaking. And I did that for 7 years, and then I got another itch, like, okay, what next? And I know many people who are listening have had that thought. Okay, what is next for me? Can I pivot? And so I pivoted into public speaking. I joined Toastmasters, as you're aware of Toastmasters. And if you're not, it's an amateur speaking club that happens all around the world. And I remember I walked into my local club. There was about 25 people sitting there, and 3 people shared their 5-minute speech. And it was all these older gentlemen with white hair delivering these 5-minute presentations. And Eleanor, I was completely enthralled. It was better than a play. It was better than Netflix. And I sat there and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to know how to do that, because it was so engaging. So I joined Toastmasters, and, you know, I was winning lots of competitions in the first year. And then somebody spoke to me about delivering workshops in schools. And I'd never delivered public speaking at that point, apart from Toastmasters. And I thought, that's a good fit. I have a history of working with young people, and I'm very good at public speaking. So I joined as an associate trainer, and I did that for around 2 years. And I loved going into schools, delivering public speaking workshops. But then after about 3 years, the work started to dry up, and I couldn't pay my mortgage. I got into real financial difficulties. And then to top it off, I found out that I couldn't have children anymore. And that was just like the cherry on the cake. And I just went down into a spiral of depression, questioning my life, questioning the decisions I made, blaming everyone but myself. And then I did another personal development course with this organization. And what I really took from going through that process was that, not that it's true, but I saw that if I took full responsibility for my life, and I'd created my life up until then, and it was a real hard pill to swallow that I created this. Not that it was like 100% true, but if I just took on that principle that I'm fully responsible for my life, on the flip side, it was like, okay, if I'm responsible, if I created my life, what else would I like to create? And I sat back and I thought, yeah, actually, I need to create my own work. So I wouldn't be at I just wouldn't put the controls into somebody else's hands. And that's what I did. I just went out speaking on subjects that I was really passionate about, which was at the time public speaking. And then I started to get my own work in corporations, delivering public speaking workshops. And then I found that I was spending at least 40% of my workshops dealing with the mindset. The mindset of, oh, what if this happens when I'm speaking? What if I'm boring? What if the audience aren't engaged? And I thought, hold on, I need to help people, support them in really up leveling their mindset, so that when they stand in front of an audience, whether you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or you're in the career path employed by somebody else, if you can get past this, everything else flows a lot easier. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the past 7-8 years, is helping people. I speak on 2 subjects. One's on their leadership mindset, how to be confident, resilient, and impactful. And then obviously on the communication skills as well. And yeah, so that's my company right now and what I do full time.
I love it.
On top of that, I am adopting. So where there's a will, there's a way.
Wow, I love your story. It is so inspiring. Wow, I think that many people start in Toastmasters as from what I hear, their path of confidence and their path of working on themselves. So I also love this organization, and they're amazing in what they do in bringing confidence, giving confidence to people. Elaine, when you're working with people, you say yourself that mindset means much more than the technical stuff. From what I see, many speaker coaches, and there are a lot of speaker coaches, we were chatting about this before this recording, a lot of speaker coaches and I can see a lot of technical things, that you need to stand like this, you need hands like this, posture like this, and a lot of blocks are in people's minds. So how do you work with people, or maybe what can they do themselves in order to gain confidence in public speaking, to gain confidence in telling their stories? How can we start doing this?
Yeah, so a simple thing, people can do is really sit down and first get present to their why. Why are you doing this in the first place? And your why is like your North Star. It's gonna keep you on track when you possibly want to give up, maybe because you've delivered a presentation and it didn't go as well as you want. And I always say, you don't have to, but it's really powerful to make your why bigger than yourself. So, my why is that I really want people to confidently stand up and speak so that they can share their message, their story, and their voice with the world for transformation and obviously income. But it's bigger than myself, because when it's just about you, your why is, about income or what have you, when the going gets tough, it's really easy to say, oh, I can't be bothered, or it's too hard. But when you're up to something much bigger, then you'll pick yourself up, you'll get back on, and you'll push through any challenges. I think a really good example is tennis. I would say public speaking is an on-the-court sport. And Serena Williams is a prime example. She didn't start out as the Serena Williams we know now. She went and she practiced, she got a lot of feedback. She always had a coach. So if you really want to be, if you're in leadership, you really have to know how to speak. It's part of that journey of leadership. and get yourself trained, because it is a performance. And anyone who's performing, whether you're an actor, a singer, a sports person, the performance, you have to be trained in order to do it, and it's bigger than you. So first of all, get present to your why.
Yeah, so when we find our why and we want to maybe not to become a professional speaker, but at least to present with confidence, maybe during Facebook Lives or speaking on Clubhouse or doing some occasional business presentations. So what do you recommend to do to have more confidence and not to be nervous and to feel this this stress all the time?
Yeah, and I love this conversation, because this is, I go out speaking just on this conversation, and I do, day-long workshops on the mindset. So I think first of all, I get people present to the fact that we have thoughts, but what we think about is actually not real. There's no shape, there's no form to it. It just exists inside your head. So first of all, get present to what are you saying about yourself or about other people. And if it diminishes you, let it go. It's not fixed. There's nowhere in the world that says you can't do it, that I'm not good, that I have no confidence. So first of all, get present to language and thoughts are fluid. And the only reason it becomes real is because one, we spend a lot of time and attention on thoughts that do not serve us. They'll diminish you because your brain is there to keep you in survival mode. It's not built to have you thrive. It's there to keep you safe. So first of all, ask yourself that question, a really simple question. Does this thought diminish me or does it expand me? And if it diminishes you, let it go. Only start to entertain thoughts inside of yourself that actually will have you grow and elevate. And, before I stop, there's a lovely quote by Terry Prince that I love. And it says, your life is your garden. Your thoughts are your seeds. If your life isn't awesome, it's because you're watering the weeds, spending too much time on thoughts that diminish you and create weeds in your garden versus, no, that doesn't serve me. Stop it, let it go, and start to generate thoughts that actually are going to expand you and have you feel great about yourself. Because, confidence, we are all confident. Now, I challenge people and I say, put your hand up if you don't think you're confident. And, sometimes people will put their hands up and I go, okay, thank you for being honest. Now, keep your hand up if you're not confident at home. Hands go down. Keep your hand up if you're not confident with your friends. Hand goes down. So my point is, you are confident. A child is confident. We are confident, but then there's areas that we go into that we're not confident. And it's usually because we haven't done it enough. Put me on the edge of a bungee jump and I'm not going to be confident because I haven't done it before, and it's okay. But know that when you do it again and again and again, mastery is consistency. It's that 10,000 hours that make you a master in something because you've pushed through that uncomfortable phase of it. So one, it's okay to not feel confident when you first do something. But if you're doing this continually and you're still having the conversation with yourself, I'm not confident, I can't do this. Well, guess what? You get what you focus on. Change your dialogue to something that's actually going to serve you, because it all starts with thoughts. And what are you entertaining about yourself?
Yes, I love it. So we need to practice, and then we can get to the point where we want to get to.
Exactly. And I do say, get a coach. And I'm not saying this because I'm touting for business or I'm a coach, but I've always had a coach with regards to speaking, because coaches, just like, Serena Williams, they see your blind spots. They'll say, actually, when you do you're doing a lob, your arms, your elbows here, put it here, do it this way, do it that way. So have a coach. If you want to excel in a much speedier way, get a coach. I still have a coach now, 8 years on, and I'm always up leveling my coach, who has a lot more experience, who can get me where I need to get to in a quicker time. Just like every performer has a coach.
Yes, absolutely. I also have a coach, and I recommend everyone to have one for sure, or several coaches for different things that we want to do. So it is 100% true. So I think that, people are scared a little bit of public speaking also because they are intimidated by professional speakers. And there are so many professional speakers out there. When you go to the conferences, I know that you are a keynote speaker, so you've been to many conferences probably and conventions. There is this type of speaker who goes out on the stage, running around, shouting, say yes, and everyone is screaming, and then you're sitting there and like, I don't want to be like this person, or I'm scared, and people think that I am here and this speaker is somewhere over there, 10,000 light years away from me. And I think that this is what is scary. So people, they think that when they train public speaking, when they find a coach, that they will be trained to act like someone else. So what do you think is, let's speak about your methodology. So what is your personal view on this? Is it, do we need to train certain gestures to be someone else, or do we need to be more natural and more authentic?
Definitely the latter. The best thing you can do is be yourself. And well, actually, I've changed the phrase. I usually don't say be yourself. I say be your best self, because be yourself. Hey, me at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm being myself, but maybe it's not the type of self you want to present at one of these events. So be your best self, the self that shows up when you're with friends and you have a drink and you're telling a story and you feel really comfortable. The audience is a reflection of you. So if you're excessively nervous, if you're anxious, if you're fearful, it's a way of being. If you're being that way, that's what you're going to give out, because that you're being. We're human beings, not human doings. So I'll tell you in a second a sort of a technique I use that's very, very powerful. But I would say, with regards to yourself, one, I'm always nervous. I don't care if I'm in live or Zoom, I'm always nervous. And then there is the distinction that nerves and excitement, you have the same sensations going on inside your body. The heart pounds, the mouth gets dry, the palms get sweaty. And I know it's just part of that parcel. But my game is to not pay it too much attention. Take some nice deep breaths. I really always encourage people, come out of your head that's very busy, it's very noisy, it's always talking to you, and it's not always saying things to you that's going to serve you. Just say thank you for sharing, breathe, and then it takes your focus out of your head into your body, and you'll find that your mind suddenly will get quiet, because now you're focusing down here on the breathing. I'm focusing on who the audience is for me, incredible people who've come there to get real value. And when I start presenting, guess what? It's not about us. Elaine, disappears. I'm a vessel for my message, my story, my content to come through me to land on the audience. It's not going to land so well if you're having a conversation about yourself while you're presenting. I'm not saying that's narcissistic, but hey, we're talking about ourselves while we're trying to make a difference to other people. So inside of that, just let go of perfectionism. There's no perfectionism. I've been doing this, 12 years speaking, but professionally for 8 years. I always mess up at Elena in some shape or form. The audience may not know it. Sometimes it's very obvious. The slide doesn't work, or I'm like, where was I? And then I'm just like, it's who I'm being, because I'm being calm and natural and funny. I'll just like, where was I? Oh yeah, thank you. And then I carry on. I don't signpost it too much. And if I know I've made a mistake, but the audience doesn't know about it, just let it go. No one wants you to be perfect, because guess what? That's where that it comes too high. That's where they're like, oh, I could never be like you. Whereas when you're just, I was just on Clubhouse, and Benny Salas had a room about know, like, and trust. People know, like, and trust people who like themselves, who has fears, who can be nervous, so don't try and be this person who's on this big pedestal, because you create too much of a gap between you and the audience. So that's what I'd say with regards to being yourself is the best thing. Let go of perfectionism. And I can share with you I clear myself before I actually present, so I'm in the best space possible to share my message.
Yes, so I think that this is an amazing message that you shared now, that we need to let go of perfectionism. We cannot be like someone else. So this is, I 100% agree with you. I also had a situation when I lost my voice on stage. I was speaking and there were hundreds of people, and it was something funny, so everyone were laughing, and then I lost, and I started whispering, and then everyone stopped laughing. There was a silence in the room. But come on, after this situation, I whispered what I had to say till the end. And after this situation, I'm like, what is the worst thing that can happen? Come on, nothing worse will happen. So I think that no one remembers about this. I just remember this as a funny story. So we absolutely don't have to be afraid of anything. So what is this that you do to prepare yourself?
Yeah. I got it from a personal development program that I've done a lot of work with, and I just kind of changed it to more speaking. So I call it's the clearing. So I clear myself before, and I've done it in so many workshops with, maybe 1,000 people. It definitely works. So what happens is that when you get present to the thoughts that are going on inside your head, what if I freeze? What if I'm not clear? What if the audience don't find it engaging? All of that internal dialogue. And I want people to get present to how are you being? Because the audience is the reflection of you. So if you're being nervous, if you're being fearful, that's the energy, because we are energy and we give out energy. And as a professional speaker, we know how to move the energy in the room and change the energy. It's all energy. And so if you're being that way, that's the energy vibrations and the waves that you're going to send out to the audience, and they will feel it consciously and unconsciously. So I remember I was going to deliver a talk in Birmingham in the UK, and I was in the taxi and my friend was clearing me. So the clearing is just getting it all out. Just be conscious, because a lot of times we're unconscious. Conscious of what is it you're actually saying to yourself, and say it out loud. So it's like, so what's there for you? And I'm like, oh, they're senior leaders and I'm scared, and they're who am I to speak to them? And he's like, okay, what next? And I just spewed out everything that was there, and he goes, okay, so how are you being? And I said, yeah, I'm definitely being scared, I'm being fearful, I'm being anxious, and all these different ways of being. So we're always being something. And then he said, anything else? And then eventually I was empty, and that's the point, you want to empty it all out. So he said, okay. He said, is that happening right now? And I was like, no, I'm in a taxi. So he said, okay, was it all made up? And I said, yes. So we've got to get that it's all made up. Unless it's in the now, it's made up inside our head. We're projecting our fear in the future. So he said, okay, you've made it up. And I said, yeah. So he goes, okay, take a deep breath. How would you love to be? And it's in the being, not the doing, because we're human beings. So I said, yeah, actually, I want to be calm. And what happens is your brain is listening, and your brain always listens to what you're saying and then reacts on what you're saying. You say I'm fearful, and your brain goes, okay. And it's the heart starts pounding. So I said, yeah, I want to be calm. I want to be clear. I want to be precise. And I want to be playful. I said, okay. And what would it be like if you were being that way? And I said, oh my God, it would be amazing. I'd have fun. And so I walked into the room and there was my kryptonite there. Everyone has their kryptonite, whether it's your peers or your senior leaders, or, or your C-suite, whatever it might be. And my kryptonite is white-haired, middle-aged men and middle class, upper class, because I think they've gone to Oxford and Cambridge, which is very similar to Harvard and Yale. And like, who am I to speak to them? So they were there. And I took a deep breath and thought, no, I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be precise. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be playful. And so that's what my brain focuses on. And that's how I was. And trust me, they were not two-headed monsters. They were actually really lovely. And I had an amazing presentation. There were lots of questions. Then afterwards, they came up and spoke to me. And I thought, yeah. So I do the clearing sort of like half an hour before I present, just so when I stand on that stage and I ground my feet, because your voice follows your body. So if you're all nervous and the heart's pumping, guess what? Your voice maybe will be shaky. Maybe that's possibly why you lost your voice, because your body was like nervous. I don't know, Elena, you'll know with regards to that, but your voice will follow your body. So you want to be grounded and you want to be calm, nice deep breathing. When I walk to the front of the room, I stand there for about 5-10 seconds. I just ground myself and I look at the audience. I look around, I smile. That already is communicating, leader, follow me. I'm waiting for people to stop talking and then I speak. So just how you begin is really, really important as well. So that's the clearing.
I love this exercise. I will use it. Very nice. Very nice. Let it all out, then say how you're being, and then how do you want to be, right?
Yeah. And just envisage. I'm a big one for visualization as well. So I envisage, usually I visualize my whole talk anyway, all the way through, obviously prior to the event, but just the emotions, because we're energy and we're full of emotions. So the emotions I want to feel, that if I feel it, the audience will feel it as well. So, I just have the visualization and just create ways of being that I know the audience is going to feel that way of being as well. So yeah, that's the clearing call.
Great. Thank you for sharing. I'm sure it will be very useful for our listeners. So what do you think is more important, content or delivery in the presentation?
I remember, were you ever in the room? There's an app called Clubhouse, and there was a gentleman who had a room, and it was the battle of content versus delivery.
I was in this battle, yeah.
Oh, were you? What were you?
I was in the team content.
Oh, you and I would be in a battle, because I was definitely team delivery.
So, I'm in the team content because I come from the academic background. And for me, speeches that are very powerful, but they don't have actually message and structure, and I'm sitting there and wow, he is a great speaker, but what is he talking about? And I heard a lot of such speeches, and I think that actually we need to have content. So that's why I was in the team content. So why would you be in the team delivery then?
Well, look, at the end of the day, we need all three. We need delivery, you need structure, and you need content. But if I had to choose between delivery and content, the reason I would choose delivery is that I have heard people with exceptional content and they just bored me to death. And I just wanted to pick up my phone. Look, virtual, people can start checking their emails very easily and you can't see them. Live, it's a bit harder. But if there's no sort of energy, no pizzazz, you will totally lose me. And I remember Maya Angelou, her famous quote is, people won't remember what you say. People won't necessarily do what you say. I don't think it's correct, but do, they won't really remember, but people will always remember how you made them feel, because we are feeling human beings. That's why we go to the movies and plays and we listen to music, because it elicits the emotion. And I feel that when you have a delivery, definitely I am team content. The delivery, the content has to be there. But if you deliver flat, if you're bored with it, trust me, I'm a reflection of the person presenting at the front of the room. Whereas when someone has energy and they have intonation and inflection and they know how to use their voice, trust me, it's better than Netflix. So I know I can wouse an audience, and my content isn't possibly that great. It is, but I'm just saying my content doesn't need to be transformational. But if I make them laugh, if I make them cry, all of that, then they will remember it versus boring delivery and phenomenal content. So yeah, it's a hard one, Eleanor.
Yes, we could speak about it for a long time, definitely. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of information out there now in social media, and people share a lot because we have all those platforms which are open. Anyone can click go live and start talking. So it is very important to find actually the good quality of content. And when we are always looking at the delivery, and we like the introduction, we like the first sentence, and we're like, okay, I'm watching this, and then sometimes we're like, maybe a little bit disappointed. That's why, by the way, I think that TEDx platform is great, and I know that we're both passionate in TEDx, and I think that TEDx platform brings together those two things: great content and also great delivery. So they make sure that on their platforms, both of those things are in place before speakers go to the stage. And you have been also organizing TEDx events, right?
Yes. Here in London, a TEDx youth event for 3 years. And that came about because in 2011, we had riots here, really bad riots in the UK, especially the big cities were really hit hard. And one of the boroughs, which is Croydon, there was a lot of damage, property through the riots. And one of the things that the young people were saying was that they felt that their voice wasn't being heard. So I thought, okay, I have a lot of history with young people. I've trained around 20,000 of them with regards to public speaking in schools. And obviously, I'm a public speaking coach. So I thought, hey, that's a great platform to have them share their voice. So I ran that for 3 years. And it was an amazing experience to go through. And now I'm still a TEDx coach for one of the events here in London. And like you, I work with individuals to help them get on the TED stage.
Perfect. So, Elaine, the last thing I wanted to ask you is, I know that you're an expert in stories. And, we hear a lot about storytelling right now. I mean, we always told stories, and this is something that we always do naturally. But now we hear about storytelling everywhere. So why is there so many information about storytelling, and what would you recommend to our listeners, to people in business, to leaders? How can they use storytelling to enhance their communication skills?
Yes, stories are everywhere. And I think the biggest storytellers for me are the movies. And a lot of people follow the structure of movies. I'm sure you've heard of Joseph Campbell, who wrote The Hero's Journey, and he studied all the movies, and they all follow a certain framework. I think he had 19 steps in his framework, and a lot of people have created their own framework, but a lot of them come from that. But stories have been around since the beginning of time, etched on the cave walls, children, parents sharing with their children what their life was like. And it ignites the right side of the brain, and it imprints in our memories a lot more than information. That's why when I coach people, I say, If you have a point, wrap it in a story. And if you have a story, make sure it has a point. Because, stories people will remember. They do not remember lots and lots of information because it's not sticky. We can't remember it. Our brain has only certain capacity to remember. So I find that our brains will remember if you have stories, an acronym, an alliteration, a metaphor, or an analogy, or maybe an exercise. They're the only ways that our brains really, really remember. So that's why stories are truly powerful. Your own story, which is like an origin story, or you might have a brand story. Brand story is a lot for entrepreneurs and business owners. This is why I do what I do. And it tells the journey of maybe your business or you as a brand. And so it helps to imprint into the audience will remember it when you've suddenly disappeared, like Steve Jobs. We will remember his story. Oprah Winfrey, we remember her stories. So that's why it's important to know how to craft your story. And there are frameworks. Don't just tell a story. There's a way to tell it that's actually really engaging. It's hard to keep people's attention for a long time. Just think TikTok, 15 seconds. So know if you're pulling together a story, once again, know how to do it well.
Yes, absolutely. I was recently reading a book on brand storytelling, and there are so many details on in how you can actually impact other people with your message. A lot of small details. We can make a separate podcast episode on this later because it is a very interesting topic. But indeed, the attention span is getting smaller and smaller, and we need to learn how to craft our message in an impactful way, but in quite a short period of time, because if we'll speak for a long time, then people will not listen to us really attentively.
Yeah, I find it's a lot of times that people do not have a structure. And so they're just all over the place, not knowing that actually when you have a structure, it's like a film. It has a structure, it has a storyline that doesn't stay too long on one part. It moves us and it moves us. It always usually starts with a challenge. It starts with, Lord of the Rings. He has a ring and now he's got to take it back to Mordor. And then there's things along the route before he gets to the cure and the carry out message, type of thing. So structure is really important. And in my perspective, it really isn't about you telling your story. You're telling it for the audience. So make sure the audience see that themselves inside your story, or else what's the point? They'll sit there and go, good for you. What about me? So make sure your audience is inside the story.
Yes, absolutely. So we need to make sure that we answer the question of the audience, what's in it for me? I think that this is the key message we can finish our podcast episode with, because this is actually the basics of public speaking. Because if we're speaking to someone, if we are communicating our ideas, we're not only doing it for ourselves, just to talk and tell our stories and bore everyone, but we are communicating to someone, with someone. So we need to all the time think about answering this question, what's in it for me?
Yeah, that's why positioning, even before you craft your story, spend time knowing your target audience, the positioning, their pains, their pleasures, all of that goes inside your brand story. That's why people do spend time, going on courses for it, because there's a lot to it, more than most people think.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Elaine, for being here with us today. So if our listeners want to connect with you, want to ask more questions about your TEDx programs, your storytelling programs, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I would say why wouldn't they? No, I'm only joking. Yes, you can go to my website, which is MindSpeak. So the MindSpeak academy.com/resources, and you'll find free resources on brand story, TED, generating your TED idea, and virtual, how to present virtually, as well as all the equipment that you kind of see behind me. And yeah, you can, and from that you'll get my email. So then you can email me at info@elainepowell.com. But also I'd say check out my website, my speaker website, which is elainepowell.com, if you want to see how I positioned myself as a speaker and the types of topics I deliver. And so you can model yourself if you just really want to do speaking on that website too.
Great. I will put your website under our podcast episode so that our listeners can immediately jump there, and while they're listening to us can check out everything you have to offer. Thank you so much, Elaine, for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And for the person listening, you have a voice, you have a message, and you definitely have a story. So go out there and transform other people's lives. Thank you, Elena.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Ideas and Leaders podcast. Did you enjoy this episode? Let me know that you listened by tagging me in your LinkedIn profile and using a hashtag Ideas and Leaders. See you in the next episode.